Hi, let's look at assessment criteria 3.1 for societal impact. Okay, so we are going to continue our discussion, and chapter 3, we will be investigating some new theories. More importantly, we'll be discussing the stages involved in planning for change, right? So there are a few things, critical things we are going to discuss in chapter 3. So let's start 3.1. So the stages involved in planning for a change program involves 4 areas. The first is gathering data and insights. So obviously, if you're going to have a focus from an organization that is non-sustainability focused to that of one that is sustainability and societal focused, you need to have a drastic change program. And that's what we're talking about here. So it is a mind shift change. You have new processors, new resources, new thinking in a societal, sustainability focused organization. So first is you need to gather all the data, your industry specific data, can be secondary data, can be primary data, can be what you gather by yourself or you gather externally through a research organization. But you need to gather all the data and insights on all the sustainability aspects pertaining to your industry. Then you set some objectives. So here you can use the UN Sustainability Development Goals and align your objectives to UN SDGs. Then you develop the change management plan and monitor and measure the outcome. So let's go through in terms of gathering data and insights. There are many kinds of data and insights that you'll need. You'll have to have operational data, like the supply chain sustainability, carbon footprints, the ethical sourcing standards, waste management, recycling. You'll need data on the current sustainability metrics, the carbon emissions, energy consumption, water usage. Can you see the amount of data you need to gather? So this is no joke because you have to gather a lot of data. Now, that's why this is a full-time job. You can't give this to a marketing manager and greenwash all your products and think you're practicing sustainability and societal marketing. Diversity, equity, and inclusion data. Workplace demographics, pay equity, inclusive workplace policies. So all this involves a lot of data gathering. Human rights, fair wages, working conditions, supply audits, regulation and compliance data, adherence to global CSR standards, UN SDGs, ISO 26000, GRI, and B Corp certification. So these are some of the compliance and regulatory bodies. So you need to gather all this data. If you are serious, if you're going to be certified as an organization, all this data must be gathered. And you can't rush it. It takes time. Then your ESG ratings and reporting standards. Alignment with frameworks like SASB, TCFD, or CDP. So you can Google these standards. You don't need to study them. And then you have KPIs and CSR impact measurement, defining key performance indicators such as emission reduction, social benefit reach, and sustainable product sales, as well as long-term sustainability goals, aligning CSR data with the overarching business and societal impact goals. So what it's trying to say here is, can you see the amount of data that you need to collect when you're transitioning from an organization that is not societal marketing focused to that of one which is sustainability and societal marketing focused. So there's a whole host of data that you need to gather first. And that's why you need a specialist who knows the subject. Anyone and everyone can't practice. Just because you're a marketer, you can't practice societal marketing or sustainability. You need to be trained. You need to be certified. So gathering a lot of data. And then you can set objectives. So objectives can be different kinds of objectives. Environmental objectives. You have social and community objectives. Employee and workplace objectives. Ethical business and government objectives or governance objectives. Economic and sustainable growth objectives. Customer and market driven objectives. So you can see the kind of objectives, philanthropy and giving objectives. So let's go through very briefly in terms of these objectives and setting objectives. So it's a broader scope. If you are genuinely practicing societal marketing, right? So you'll have environmental objectives to do with carbon emissions, waste, energy efficiency, water consumption, and sustainable sourcing. These are some examples. So you know that objectives must be smart. It must be measured and time bound. Social and community objectives, community engagement, educational programs, health and well-being, then a percentage of profits that you contribute, and how you can improve your human rights record. So these are all kinds of objectives, employee and workplace objectives, primarily related to the DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. You can set objectives with regards to employee engagement, workplace well-being, ethical labor practices, CSR-related training. So you can see the diverse objectives, governance and business, ethical business objectives, corporate transparency, and then human rights, anti-corruption policies, very important, CSR certifications, CSR-driven corporate culture, economic and sustainable growth objectives, to increase sustainable products, fair wages, social enterprise and small businesses, procurement policies, green innovations, and you can set your objectives. This is what most companies do. They align their objectives to the UN SDGs. Customer-driven objectives. So eco-friendly and ethical products, customer awareness and education-related objectives, plastic usage objectives, how you reduce it, fair trade partnerships, and how you will engage customers in CSR. And then you have, finally, philanthropy and giving objectives. How much of your annual revenue or your net profits will you give back? Employee donation matching programs, non-profits and global charities, what you contribute and how you partner them, and how you'll support disaster relief efforts. So you can see there are many kinds of objectives that you will sort of be a part of in contributing. And remember, once again, all the objectives must be smart. It must be measured, time-bound. You need to assign an owner who will deliver the objectives. So we look at how you can develop a change management plan. So an 8-step process to move from an organization that is non-sustainability focused to that of one that is. So first is you need to identify the need for change. You need to know that if you don't embrace sustainability, then you will lose the competitive advantage that comes with an organization that is sustainability focused. So you need to identify the need for change. And sometimes consumers drive and demand that organizations change. Then define the objectives. We spoke of many types of objectives, societal and sustainability focused objectives. Analyze stakeholders and build support. So you will need to look at the types of stakeholders, internal, connected, external stakeholders, and build support with key stakeholders. Develop a change management plan and communicate the change. Communicate the change. Internal communication will be very important. Implement the change. Manage any resistance that come in from within the organization towards change. Monitor and evaluate the change. Reinforce and sustain the change. So this is how you will focus on a change management program. And finally, the fourth step is to monitor and measure. So you'll monitor and measure the effectiveness of the change against the set objectives. You can do this once a month, once a quarter, biannually, right? You should do it quite as frequently as possible. So most companies can do it monthly or quarterly. Gather feedback from stakeholders to assess the impact and the areas for improvement, very important. Adjust strategies if needed to enhance the adoption and sustainability. So this is a short area, chapter 3.1. Let's meet in assessment criteria 3.2.